Tonight, former President Donald Trump continues to enjoy a victory in his election interference case. On Monday, the Supreme Court ruled that presidents have broad immunity from prosecution, limiting the indictment against Trump for his efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss to Joe Biden. The ruling makes it all but certain he won't face trial before Election Day.
Because of that ruling, there are questions about what this means for the former president's criminal conviction and his 3 other cases.
Political reporter Dariel Fair has you covered on the ripple effects that ruling might have on the former president's federal and state charges.
The Supreme Court ruled presidents are immune from criminal prosecution for official acts taken during their presidency, a landmark decision granting former President Donald Trump partial immunity in his January 6 election interference case for his efforts to subvert the 2020 presidential election. The ruling was a major victory for the Trump campaign, delaying the criminal case that is now unlikely to get started before this year's November presidential election. The court's conservative majority argued Trump's conversations with the Department of Justice and his efforts to get officials on board with the scheme to overturn the election were official acts protected under his presidency. Chief Justice John Roberts still leaving many questions unresolved. Justice is sending the case back to the U.S. District Court to determine what acts in Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment will fall under official duties that can be protected and which ones are not. One day after the Supreme Court's decision, the sentencing date in Trump's New York hush money trial was postponed from July 11, just days before the Republican National Convention, to September 18th. The question remains on whether Trump's classified documents criminal case in Florida and his election interference case in Georgia will also be impacted.
The case in Florida, the federal case in Florida about documents, these are documents he retained after he was president. So again, probably not a lot of help to Trump's defense in Florida, his conviction in New York. It could impact Georgia, especially in terms of the evidence that could be submitted in the Georgia case. But again, it is a racketeering case that involves a lot of different parties and a lot of different evidence to support these allegations, and so it may not have a huge impact on that case as well, but definitely, at least in terms of the election interference case, definitely a win for Trump and his attorneys.
This week on Capital City Sunday, I sit down with UW-Madison professor and criminal defense expert Don Gross to unpack the immediate impacts of the court's immunity decision and how it will change the executive powers of presidents to come. That show airs at 9 a.m.